Gallup is taking a measure of how the global community views America under President Trump, and the numbers are significant. Germany has replaced the United States as the top-rated global power in the world. The U.S. is now on nearly even footing with China and barely more popular than Russia. In Obama's last year in office, for example, the U.S. led Germany by 7 points, China by 17 points, and Russia by 22. Median approval of American leadership across 134 countries and areas stands at a new low, Willie, of 30%.
And, Willie, this matters because the next terror attack, we need allies. Yeah. The next terror attack, we need people stepping in the gap and defending us, supporting us. They're just not going to do that if this continues.
That number is a reflection of Donald Trump's rhetoric, but also of his policy of withdrawing from TPP, threatening to withdraw from NAFTA, his constant criticism of UN, NATO, international organizations, and his America First, explicit policy that we're going to focus on us and not you. So I'm not surprised at all to see those numbers, but there is a cost to that, as you say. We're going to have to lean on those countries in a time of crisis. We don't know what that crisis is, but there will be one, you can guarantee, in the next 3 years.
And was it, Willie, you remember this so well because we went through it day in, day out, Donald Trump's approval rating, even through the general election campaign. Was it 34, 35, 36%, 37%? It was so for those of us looking at him at 36, 37, 38%, thinking, okay, wow, he's going to really get his. No. That's about where he was before. Yeah,
his approval rating isn't much different than it was on Inauguration Day. His disapproval numbers are a little higher, but I think it's all reflected in those letters that you just read, which is Trump voters are able to ignore what they view as rhetoric, as him talking trash or instigating or inflaming, and focus on the fact that they believe the economy is doing better, that ISIS has been beaten up, all the things that Judge Gorsuch is now on the Supreme Court. Those are solid, concrete things they can point to as achievements from President Trump in their eyes, and they believe everything else is just noise.
I think, Mika, the challenge every day for us is what we had when we did the Katie Couric podcast.
Yeah.
Understanding that the media is, in many ways, biased towards this guy, because it is hard to separate out concerns about his autocratic ways.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like I said to some Republican contributors. I said, how much are you willing to sacrifice of this country's constitutional norms and our democratic values for a 5% cut in the corporate gains tax? And I just don't know whether Wall Street, well, I do know. The Dow being at 26,000 is not worth having a president who's a racist, who's open.
Not sure everyone feels that way.
I know they don't. But so that is the challenge. How do you say, hey, the GDP went up 0.2% over the third quarter, and in other news, Donald Trump, hanging out with porn stars and making racist comments that insult the entire, continent of Africa, and it's a balance, and it's a real challenge for news outlets. And I think getting more direct voices from Trump supporters like the New York Times did today, good for them. It's one way to do it.
Tomorrow, they're going to be hearing from Trump voters who are now disillusioned. So it'll be interesting to see what the turn is. Also, that was great conversation. There's a lot of news to cover. Still ahead on Morning Joe. Which part of the president's interview with Reuters should we tackle first? Where he blasted a bipartisan plan on immigration after pledging to sign whatever lawmakers came up with? Where he promised to spend 5 days a week on the campaign trail? Or where he suggested he could solve the North Korea crisis because he aced the cognitive test during his physical exam?
By the way, this cognitive test actually showed him a picture of a lion, a rhinoceros, and a giraffe.
And a little piggy.
And apparently I think he got the little piggy right.
He did.
That's really good. So, he's the smartest president ever because he can do what a 5-year-old could do. That's great.
We're going to talk with the reporter who sat down with the president in the Oval Office. You're watching Morning Joe. We'll be right back.
Right back. Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.